Hi, it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec. This week I'm joining the Punched Out Thursday to Die For collaboration. We share ideas every Thursday on what to do with your punches and your dies. I'm going to put links to all the other participants below, so be sure to check them out. I do know that Kathy is on vacation this month. However, I'll put links to everybody below just in case. Here's what I'm going to be doing today, a 6-photo collage style, almost shabby chic layout. And honestly, it's way out of my comfort zone. My jumping off point was a sketch from a class I'm taking called 6x6 Sketch Class by Allison Davis at Scrapbook Generation. This is sketch number 2. And my plan is to use dies and a punch to set up my foundation page and work with my photos, creating frames and layers. I will be embellishing with pre-made embellishments, all from this collection here, which is the Simple Stories Vintage Cottage Fields collection. And here are the tools I'm going to be using. I have nesting square dies as well as that scalloped circle punch from Creative Memories. That's it. I will talk more about these tools throughout the process, and I will suggest substitutes, and it's going to be easy for this one. Also, I'll list everything I'm using in the description box below in case you're interested. So here's what's on my desk, and I'm going to start with that 12 by 12 piece of black paper, which is from this Cottage Fields collection. And I'm showing you the photos that I cut up in advance. So I cut down 6 photos in 3 different sizes with those nesting square dies. I also cut out 2 other squares because if you look at the photos at the bottom, those are both matted. I will be cutting out a lot more squares later on, and I'm showing you the sizes of the dies that I'm going to be using for this project. I'll talk more about this later on when I use it. Also, I'm going to show you the paper that I've selected for this collection. Now, I'm documenting photos from downtown Quebec, old Quebec. So the vintage vibe works really well with these photos, or at least I think it does at this point. And also, I have a sticker sheet from this collection, and I have a handful of scraps. On my desk as well, I'll show you in a moment, I have a basket full of tools because at this point in the process, I'm not 100% sure where I'm going with regards to embellishing. But the tools I did use are the ones I showed you in the photo earlier. So what I'm going to do right now is start preparing my foundation page. So right off the bat, I'm kind of differing from the sketch that was part of that class because on the sketch there are 6x6 blocks, and what you see me doing here is cutting down 12-inch strips of paper in various widths. I will put measurements on the screen for these strips of paper a bit later on when I adhere them to the page. So right now I'm just cutting down a bunch of strips of paper, and I'm going to place them on the page just to give you an idea how I plan to set up the page. And when I do this, I realize I want one more strip of paper, so you're going to see me dig out my trimmer again and cut down another strip of paper. Now the measurements that are written on the screen are going to be for visible border parts only. Most of these are larger than what's written on the screen, and they are tucked under. And you'll notice that when I adhere it together, how I layer them up a bit. So essentially that's how my background paper is going to look. And my plan is to fill in the 2 wider blocks with photos. So that's what you see me doing right now. And once I do that, what I'm going to do is, well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere this border to the page. What's important with regards to these measurements, aside from the fact that it's only visible measurements only on the screen, really what's important are the 2 largest borders. That peach one there is the only one that's real size. You see me adhering behind each side a narrow strip of paper. All of the other ones are cut larger than what's written on the screen, and they're kind of overlapped. Another thing that's important, the 2 widest strips, the one that I'm adhering right now, it's like a text print, as well as that peach one with the butterfly, The exact measurements for that are more important than the other ones because that's where the photos are going to go. But the other ones, you have a bit of wiggle room. I'm just simply writing the measurements that I did on my page. So you can see I'm adhering that large strip to the middle of that black foundation paper. And then what I'm going to do is place my photos on the page, again, to give you an idea how it's going to look. And then what I'm going to do is start working with the photo. So I'm getting out my Big Shot here and my nesting square dies. Now I don't want to confuse you. Basically what I'm going to be doing is creating mats and layers for the photos that are going to appear on that middle strip, that peach colored strip with the butterfly. The other photos that are going to go on the right-hand column, those are just going to go as is. So I'll put measurements for each one of those photos on the screen, and the ones on the peach border, each photo will have 1, 2, or 3 mats. What I want you to have a look at, the ones at the top and the bottom of that peach border are pretty easy. It's simply a photo with a double photo mat. But the focal point one here is more important. What you see me doing right now is creating a frame. So I'm taking 2 nesting square dies, one inside the other, and I ran it through the Big Shot. And you can see out popped a frame. So my focal point photo there has one photo. Behind it there is a mat, and on top of it there is a little frame that's a little bit smaller than the photo. And you'll see that when I adhere the frame to the photo. Another thing I want to point out, for all 3 photos on that peach border, the ones that are all receiving special treatment, each one of those has a piece of hidden cardstock behind the photo mat. That's just to give the photo a little bit more substance on the page, because with this paper it really looks layered already, and then I'm adding layers, so I really wanted those photos to stand out. So again, just pay attention to the measurements that I have written on the screen, and I'll list them per photo. I think that's going to be the easiest. You can see me now putting adhesive on that frame that I'm going to put on top of that photo. And now I have them all done. Now, obviously, if you don't have nesting square dies, you can do this no problem except the frame. You can just do it with a straight trimmer. The reason why I like doing it with nesting square dies is because there are so many squares layered one on top of the other. When you cut out your squares with nesting square dies, they are like perfect. They are the same every time. So there's no discrepancy when you're cutting them. Bottom line is you can do this without nesting square dies, but if you have them, it's the perfect opportunity to take them out because the sizes of the squares are consistent. Now what I'm going to do is cut out a scalloped circle with this punch from Creative Memory. So what you'd start with is a 6-inch square, and you put it in the punch all 4 sides. Then you flip it over, 4 more corners are created, and you punch it again. And out pops this scalloped circle. It's super beautiful. It's about 6 inches, and clearly this can be replaced with a circle or even a large doily. So my idea is to kind of overlap it over the photos that are going to be placed on the top and the bottom of that peach colored border. And the photo, the focal point photo of the Chateau Frontenac there, it's going to go on top of that scalloped circle. On that scalloped circle, that's going to be where I place my title as well as the main embellishment cluster. So at this point, I'm happy with this so far, and I'm going to adhere the photos to the page as well as that large scalloped circle. Now at this point, I'm not overwhelmed with the collage shabby chic style. I already know it's outside my comfort zone, but I'm okay with it. It's when I start embellishing, I'm starting to get overwhelmed, and you will see that in a minute, and I'll talk you through my process of that as well. So as you can see, I'm adhering it all down to the page, and once I get that done, I'm going to get out my alphabets for the title and then the embellishments. So I have 3 sets of alphas here. The large and small black foam alphas are both thickers. The largest ones are from Simple Stories, and you can see I put 2 words on wax paper, Tourists Day. My title is going to be Tourists for a Day. I'm going to use that Simple Stories sticker book for that, but those are really fragile, so I didn't want to put them on wax paper. So I'm going to wait to the adhering process to do that. Now what you see me doing is digging in the ephemera. In that spot on that column on the right with the photos, there's a blank area. That's where I plan to do my journaling. So I found like a large label. I tucked it in there as well as a tag. Now I have a large floral piece from one of the 2 ephemera packs for this collection, tucked it under the title. I'm happy with that, and I'm looking for another piece. So essentially what I want to do is create a visual triangle with 3 embellishment clusters. You can see one developing over by the word tourists there, one above the focal point photo in and around that journaling area. And I am going to want to put something small, not big like the other ones, around that photo at the bottom of the page, kind of the bottom middle. And I end up finding a small pink flower. You're going to see me tuck it in there in a minute. So I am looking for smaller pieces to tuck in around the title there. But these are pretty big ephemera pieces, so I'm kind of happy with that. And it's at this point I am starting to get overwhelmed. Actually, that pink flower at the bottom middle there ends up getting switched up. You'll see it in the end. But at this point, I know I have to adhere what I have to the page. I also know that my finishing touches are going to be really, really important, because this is really feeling outside of my comfort zone at this point. It's really got a collage, shabby chic look, something I'm not familiar with. And I feel like I just have to kind of make the page more cohesive and bring it together. Anyway, I adhered all those pieces down. Now I'm adhering the title. I will stop the film, continue with my title, and I also continued with those ones from that alpha book because they are really, really fragile. Now I'm looking in the other embellishments, and I have out there like a self-adhesive brads as well as those layered stickers. Both of them are from this Vintage Simple Stories Cottage Fields collection, or whatever it's called. Anyway, it's listed below. What I have here is I put a self-adhesive brad up there in that tag above the journaling. I'm playing around with these layered stickers, but man, they are layered. There are like 3 levels of foam inside, and they're too much for me. So what I did was I peeled off one, and for each one of those stickers, I'm actually going to get 2 per, because the adhesive peeled off very nicely, and it's the same image underneath. Anyway, I'm playing around in all 3 embellishment clusters, and I'm not quite sure what I like at this point, and I'm taking forever. That's because I'm working outside my comfort zone. So what I end up doing is stopping the film and having a look. But what I do know is that I want a repetition of the black that's in the title in 2 other areas. I feel that that will help my page come together more. So if you have a look at my page there, what I did off camera was I replaced that pink flower at the bottom with a black adhesive tag from the sticker sheet, and I also put on a self-adhesive brad there. Then I ended up putting another self-adhesive brad up above the word tourists, and I have that one in the tag above the journaling. So right there I have a visual triangle in black of 3 self-adhesive brads. So I'm already happier with that. And in addition to the journaling, on that alpha sticker sheet with the word day, the smaller ones, they're from a collection called Twilight, there were a bunch of arrows and stuff. So I ended up putting like chevron-like arrows by the title, also up around the journaling and in the bottom right-hand corner. Again, creating another visual triangle in that black. One other thing I did to add more black, when I did my journaling, which was on the computer and I printed it on vellum, I made sure to select a bold font. That way the black really stood out. And after all of that, I ended up being quite happy with the layout. So you can see I did create this layout using my tools, but in this case, instead of embellishing with my tools, I used my tools to set up my page essentially. Create my foundation page and really work with my photos, creating layers and frames. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, Scrapbooking Quebec, I would be absolutely thrilled if you did. Don't forget to check out the other participants. Their links are in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.